Game 3, LNG, JDG. I am glad this has gone to 3. I think we've seen bits of the best parts of both of these teams. LNG looking to get kind of like almost like the triple crown, I guess, of like the top 3 teams beaten in spring.
That's exactly it. And they had a very good game 1, though they were a little behind, I think it's fair to say, before we came in. So we only really saw the comeback. So maybe that's colouring the opinion there. But JDG have a solid early game again in game 2 and then just convert that one into a great victory after a Baron take off the Dragon resets. This time around, though, the Maokai's not banned and it's first picked by LNG, by the by.
So that allows you to have much more organized team fights. It's such an easy go button, and it makes it much easier to play around vision control with your saplings. There's a lot of value for it, but I haven't seen it be first pick in a long time. Now, that Kindred was Harvard, it was nerfed in the 14-14 patch. Kanavi going to pick up the Zyra instead. Played it, I believe, in the first game of the series. Yeah, he did. He was shut down quite comprehensively, actually, by LNG, but we have ourselves Battle of Fangorn Forest, two very plant-like entities facing off against each other.
Not either. It doesn't count. It's not a tree. There's no tree skin for Zyra.
I'm sorry, is a
Are
forest
you a
just
horticulturist?
Look, sometimes when you ult those plants, you tell me they don't look like... You know, funnily enough, but this is a different thing, by the way. Look, there are picks happening. There is no such thing as a genetic definition of a tree. Trees are just things which are like... Plants have all said growing tall is a good thing. A tree is actually very hard to define, like, biologically.
A fish as well.
Exactly, there is no such thing as a fish. Trees are also... Look, that's a different thing. This is like the LNG combo right now. This is 2023. If you locked in these picks for LNG, it would be quite similar to what they played even back then. So Gala going back towards Ziggs. Gala might just be the best Ziggs in the LPL.
He's very
so
good.
having the Maokai Ziggs combo with Scout, having the Yone, which he's continued to show good value out of as well. Important there for LNG. Good combo. Yagao going back towards the Lucian. Look, I've liked Lucian. I've liked Yagao on a lot of the AD carries. I'm not sold on him on that Lucian yet. He has to prove to me that when the Tristana and the Corki are much less powerful now, that the Lucian is as good for him as it is those other picks. Most of our other mid laners were kind of the other way around. Like they weren't good at the other ones, but they were good at the Lucian. Now Yagao feels like the opposite.
Yeah, he had a solid mid-game, I think it's fair to say, with the exception of the solo kill going against him, and credit to Scout for finding that angle as well. You know, give some shout-out to the person who pressed the buttons correctly. But Yagao played out a lot of those mid-game team fights really well. He wasn't necessarily the star of them. That was largely Ruler, but the fact that Yagao was cleansing out a lot of the attempted engages, the QSS worked really well, very rarely fell apart. You know, it was a solid enough Lucian game. Certainly enough to be drafting it, I guess. I just don't know whether he's best in the LPL level, shall we say, which on things like the Corki and the Tristana and stuff, he was certainly one of the best we had.
So second round of the bans, we have, of course, the Ziggs locked in, so LNG have all of the bot lane stuff that they need. They're banning away the Rel themselves. Maybe they're afraid of stuff like the really hard engage with the Misfortune. I think that Ruler could potentially look towards that. They already have themselves a pretty good wombo setup. If you get the Stranglethorns and the Bullet Time, that's nasty as hell. My big problem with the AG right now is that they don't have a great go button. They have a Mega Gnar occasionally, and that's not real. That should really be follow-up engage. So JDG, they might lock in a heavier engaged champion themselves. That would really help them with their team fighting.
Thinking about going for that lane domination, they just locked the Kalista. We saw it get punished, or the Ziggs get punished the other day. As Top Esports went absolutely ham into the Ziggs Leona lane. Of course, Leona banned away. See what Hung wants to lock in here to lock out that bot lane. Debating a few interesting options. I don't think a Taric is the way it's going to go. It's been a long time since that champion's been a consideration.
Well, Hung's not going to get his Rakan. You need a CC support. You need a heavy CC support. You got to counter pick in top lane. You need to make sure that you're able to deal with what is likely the Kalista Renata coming on the other way. That Camille, really good combo with the Ziggs too. You lock someone in the Hextech Ultimatum. You know what that's the same size as? The Ziggs Ultimate. Someone is getting locked inside that. Hung looking now for a big engaged support that can also survive that laning phase. Would love that Rel. I think that's the best one for it. And the Rakan also would have been quite important. But now what do you do? Do you have to go Alistar? What else have you got here?
Yeah, they're gonna think about maybe a Karthus here. Oh, be interesting moving the Camille to moving the Maokai to support. And keeping things around. I suppose it could be Camille support too in the Maokai top, but it's been a while since that's been a consideration.
Camille's good into the Gnar and the Maokai. Yeah, the Camille's good enough into the Gnar. I think you have to put the Maokai into the spot. But the reason this is a question, I'm glad that you bring this up, is that, look, none of these champions are going to do well versus the Kalista Renata. What do you do? It's like, which support am I choosing? Into the Kalista Renata, played by Ruler. JDG, they don't have great engage, but one of the ways you get away with not having great engage is by winning lanes so hard that you snowball across the map and it doesn't matter. So now with the Kalista Renata, JDG are going to be playing heavily towards that duo, and Gala and Hung have the task of surviving that lane.
They are definitely going to be tasked with that. We saw it happen, was it yesterday or the day before? Earlier this week, where it was tried and it went very, very wrong.
TT, Thundertalk.
It was Thundertalk, yeah. Where
I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
That was for my own benefit.
Yeah.
My brain is off the place, Sam.
That's where it was, yeah. And it was not pretty. That was with the Leona. The Maokai, I think, is probably a little lower down the tier list of support. So I'm a bit nervous here, considering how well Ruler in particular played that last game.
And now we bring ourselves through to the last game of today, folks. Last game for us for the week as well on this stream as well. We hope you're enjoying us covering these games and making sure that these games continue to have some English representation in at least the language sense internationally. Hope you're enjoying us on this journey. Over 150 games we've done like this, and it has been a heck of a journey. Hope you're enjoying it.
It certainly has. What a ride it has been, and what a series to end our week on. LNG won game 1, JDG controlled game 2, a little dicey in the mid game. They're coming here in game 3. They've drafted something a little different, something a bit more spicy in the bot lane. Both teams ready to brawl it out to see who will become the victors in this final game of the day. Very passionate fan there on the microphone, frying his vocal cords.
Was it the JDG fan?
It was.
That is, whoever it is, the chant leader for JDG, again, they are the Elden Ring NPC. They are actually just Igor. They're going, curse you, Bale! Yeah. I need this JDG guy. Just someone take his voice to put it into a game. I'd like that.
Isn't Tyler 1 doing some wild thing with the AI voice thing to have a companion in your games or whatever?
What?
Yeah, he's basically you can yell at you in game. So you have just someone yell at your bad plays.
I think the best example I saw of something like that was people doing like guesting onto like TomTom satnavs. So it's like Jeremy Clarkson telling you you're a blithering idiot for missing a turn.
Yeah.
Like that is genuinely quite entertaining to me.
I think they had to take it off because it was too it
was actually too distracting. Yeah, it wasn't very useful. But hey, that's something. Scouting this level 1 thing where you stack up one of your Q charges on the Raptors, which means you can come into lane and potentially get your first Q3 poke at the game quite effectively in that lane. You can't really trade against ranged champions that well. As the owner at level 1, well, what sometimes you can do because of this, you know that they're going to stand over the Raptor wall. Lucian can walk up and potentially just say, well, you're going to Q the Raptors, I'm going to Q you instead. But then you have to have the safety to walk up to the side of the lane. But it's one of the intricacies of that lane matchup, which Yagao can't really get the best of there at that level 1.
Definitely get a bit tricky. Hung stepping out of that bush, loses control of it. Gala stepping in an awkward position. Is going to be next to the wall. This is looking a bit messy already. Ruler traded back onto pretty well, but Gala immediately forced a flash. Not quite dead.
Rand very nearly taking him down. Ruler, of course, now can flash forward at level 2 and potentially look for a Q. Yeah, if he gets to 2 now, this is the problem. I think if he'd flash forward immediately... Oof. Yeah, this is the thing. I think Ruler, if he'd flash forward immediately, gone for the QE, he probably does kill that. Would have been very, very close, but chooses to hold on to that summoner. Gala has that teleport. We'll need to get through to that lane as quickly as possible. Again, this is the problem playing against the Kalista Renata. Weiwei is clearing down towards this side of the map. Kanavi will be there too, but Gala and Hung, this is not a strong laning duo. It is a mid-game to late-game combo lane. This does not survive versus the Kalista Renata if you let them do this.
Weiwei's actually skipped the red buff early on just in case there was a Zyra around there and the dive was coming on through very, very rapidly. Back towards the red buff now. You can see Kanavi just finishing off the Gromp right now. We'll be down here at about the 310, 315 mark.
Okay, so a little bit slower on the clear now. One of the things they nerfed about Zyra is a bit of her clear speed. Her base damage is down on her plants. It just slows things down a little bit. Weiwei is here. He has not been seen. He won't be seen right now either. That's the Wall of Pain. Will stop the dive coming out. Missing is currently stuck under tower.
He can't take aggro here. He'll take too much damage. Will shield themselves up with the loyalty program. We get to safety. The spear comes through though, and now Hung in a spot of bother. Has a couple more javelins poking out of him, but will be allowed to reset here. Dive averted.
JDG, 700 games in the LPL as an organization. We've seen a lot of milestones hit this split. It feels like the milestones are always coming because so many games here in the LPL. JDG, they are one of the new breed in some ways in the LPL still because they're not quite as old as, you know, your LGDs, your EDGs, your Invictus Gamings, your World Elites. They aren't part of the new real tapestry. And even then, they've been playing for a hell of a long time, so this doesn't even feel right saying that one. They had that three-peat up until last split. They have been the most recent dominant team within LPL history, and this team reaching 700 games a lot of it was built through that incredible series of dominance.
Yeah, and again, in some ways they are, for all that they are one of the top teams in the LPL, still a shadow of last year's glory, because they were so good last year, particularly over that spring and MSI run, that everything else is going to be looked at in relation to that, but they are still a very strong team. A few new pieces, a few new old pieces, and the likes of Yagao, of course, rejoining the roster. We'll be seeing whether they can still make a deep run here and some maybe look for that title again. They are not a team to be slept on, that's for sure.
So, bot lane hasn't been blown completely out of the water yet by JDG. Couldn't quite get themselves to that early game kills, but they did get the early wave push in.
That they did, and Hung and Gala going to be kept a long way away from anything resembling lane control here, as Ruler and Missing continue to be a bit of a menace. Scout in danger as Yagao steps on forwards, looking to get the solo kill. Flash scouts back out and stays alive. Yagao holds on to the Summer, and Scout, risky there, was without items because he hadn't had a chance to back, and that additional set of resources really hurting there in the extended trade. Scout forced to flash, did not fall to the solo kill, but did, as we say, get very close.
So again, one of the problems when we're working like this is that one of us has to answer the door because we're the only two people in here.
Yeah.
Packages being delivered to people. All the same. JDG, again, this is the kind of team, this is the kind of team comp you need to get those early kills on. You need to get those early kills down. Scout blowing the flash is nice. Getting that early reset is good, but Jissing getting punished here.
Oh, can get the Wall of Pain. Last Q would do it, forced to flash. I wonder whether Hung might consider a flash ignite there, honestly, but Kanavi now turning around with a fantastic grasping root to the Stranglethorns afterwards. Don't quite get the kill. Hung still alive, just for now, but Ruler stepping on forwards, way after flash out, has no mana, so can't turn around that much. Looks to go on in, can't quite get the kill. Ignite onto Missing in the backline, might get him. No, he survives. Gala backing away, the plant won't get the kill on Gala either, and JDG get away with murder.
I think Hung just ended up doubling the wrong target. That extra damage could have been it. Sapling onto Kanavi. Level 6 hit first. Wait, if he has level 6, that fight is completely different. Kanavi going even for the electrocute Zyra. It becomes really relevant to him. Seeing so much of the Comet coming through that it's become like the more common rune set coming through. He comes in, level 6 electrocute. Explodes the Fangorn Forest matchup. As, yeah, the tree has been felled. I guess Saruman sends his regards.
Yeah, I think as well, the reason Hung did what he did is it was the bailout on, I want to say Kanavi or whoever he W'd, and so he's like, okay, well, I'll W in and Ignite Missing, who didn't have the bailout, was the lower level, so I could be able to get the kill on that. Yeah, I didn't really work out.
Yeah, I do really want to see a replay of that because it felt like Hung, maybe there was a chance for a kill. The bailout, very, very long cooldown and early levels, of course, no chance of getting that off cooldown. Who was used earlier in the trade. We'll get a replay of this. So, what happens around here? Ruler, Missing, have themselves a great lane stay. Missing gets hit by one sapling, gets hit by a bomb, gets hit by a satchel, gets hit by bloody everything. Wall of Pain forces the flash out too. But then they've overextended a little bit. Kanavi, this is the electrocute with the ult coming through so much, but double root, double ult. That's insane. Just incredible amount of damage coming through from that electrocute. Means that Hung trying to stay on this control ward out of vision, but Kanavi's plant's doing a hell of a lot of work. I just think that's a mistake trying to go onto him. He ends up, I mean, I guess if he goes onto Ruler, they would have got the bailout anyway, but it's just, okay, at that point, you know, there's basically no chance of a kill because, well, no, maybe the only way that you get a kill is by dying so quickly that the bailout can't come through after that point.
Exactly. Tried to ignite down Missing, who was really low at the back. I think he survived on 5 HP, so it really was a tick of ignite more that would have killed him off, but not quite enough there. Managed to survive long enough, and now JDG in full command of this bot side, and poor old Gala is very alone down here.
He's already used his ult to wave clear one wave.
No.
Next wave is coming in. I think he should be okay. It's taking a while for this next wave to come in, and JDG aren't going to stay here for long enough to threaten that dive. Hung is now back as well, so he'll be safe enough, and particularly once you get a couple of levels into your queue, it's fine enough. We're seeing something that happened in mid lane. Oh, he went forwards and got a good big chunk. Gets himself a full queue through. Wow, nice chunk through there. Means that you guys forced out a laning phase. I think that Scout's gone from strength to strength on this Yone. His first games on Champion weren't great. He did a bit of a yellow star where one of those guys remisses everything and somehow ends up dying. I think that both Scout and Xiaohu have shown a lot of improvement on these picks. Yone is a pick which does take a lot of practice, despite him having a good floor in terms of, hey, you just hit multi-man ults, that can really help us. Looks like the clean feed just struggling a little bit again as we come into these mid lane trades. But yeah, Scout, I think that he's gone from strength to strength in this pick, and he's using it very well in both side lanes and in team fights now.
Yeah, for sure. Azuka will be getting the level up, and we haven't really looked into the top lane matchup. It's an early CS lead to the Gnar, but that's sometimes expected. Camille really wants the ability to all in realistically to be able to control that lane state, and without items and nominally level 6, that's quite hard to find.
Yeah, once you get towards 2 items on Camille, you are nuclear. At that point, you explode whoever you target, and JDG don't have a great tank. Now, it's also going to be great to combo up with the Gala Ziggs combo as well, throwing in those big bombs. Gala's not going to have that much gold. I think Gala has been one of our better Ziggs players, one of the best. In fact, it's like Haim, and I think Arn's been fantastic at it too. There are a couple of names you can throw out there. They've all been really, really good at this. And the fact that he has no gold doesn't help him providing those combos, but still trust him to have an impact on the game.
Yeah, that tends to be the way. The Leandri is completed now for Kanavi, who is once again doing very well here. Is a lot of camps still to farm for Weiwei, but the fact you're out farming a Karthus, this is always an impressive feat.
Yeah, both of these champions have now been hit in terms of their clear speed. It was a couple of patches ago for Karthus, and now Zyra also getting hit with that, but Zyra's still strong. Yeah, I think they have been pick banned for all of our games today on the new patch, so Kanavi, just in a really good point. 1,000 gold up is so nasty because a lead in the jungle when you have carry versus carry like this is a win condition, because one of them will be doing a lot more easy access damage than the other. Weiwei is going to be joined by scouts to dive here. Teleport coming in from Yagao.
So they want this anyway. They get the wall of pain down. Scout looks to get on top of Yagao. The Fate Sealed is a bit short, but it's still the Hextech Ultimatum. Yagao is a very dead man.
Sheer might join him soon as well. Uses that flash. The combo misses from Gala. We talked about him being great. Well, he doesn't even need his own ult. He's that good at the champion. Haha, yeah. Zuka gets himself Demolition Tower, gets himself a plate, and JDG lose out heavily on top side.
Sheer forced to step out of the tower range by it. That's the way we'll phrase it. Still gets the assist, gets some turret plates, and a couple important kills going the way of LNG. All the while, though, Grubs just spawned. Looks like JDG will be the ones to claim.
Yeah, it means that there won't be 4+ scrubs for
a lot of plants.
Side of LNG. Yeah, they are. Kanavi really just gunning through those ones. Again, going back to a replay of what happened in this top side. Sheer does try and stack up his Mega Gnar, but it's well too late. Yagao tries to teleport in, but it's too late. He's the one that's focused on after that point, and one of them was going to get focused on. I'm not sold by Yagao's Lucian. I do like his other AD carries. This one's just not been it, though. I think that his decision-making in the pick's not been necessarily fantastic, and I think that right here, he just gives over another kill to the cause. Gains nothing for it.
And both solo laners flash as Camille was looking for a hook shot, and they burn no flashes on the other side, which is kind of nice to see. So you get every summoner out of Yagao. It's a nice moment for those solo laners, and the win condition there of the Yone and the Camille is pretty huge. It'll be sad not to have that many grubs, though. They've got 3 at least.
Yeah, no, it's always a sad thing when you don't find the Griblies after you get yourself the full grubs. Scout getting a trade on turret there. Well, we talk about this mechanic quite a lot. LeBlanc and Yone are very famous for this, where they jump forwards. They take a trade just as the tower is targeting minion, just before it fires or just as it fires it. You get yourself a hard trade and you pop out a turret before it can fire multiple tower shots at you. Sometimes you do it before it fires even a single one in the case of LeBlanc. With Yone, you can use your W shield and you tank up one turret shot on the way out. It means you just have really good under tower poke as a melee, which is quite rare.
Yeah, and it's partly why into things like the AD carries, Yone's still seeing play, because he has good trade patterns that can threaten them from what would normally be a realm of safety for them. You do have that capability to go all in and get some chunks that the AD carries don't really get the same free reign to respond to, and that's not a pun on the anime. Kanavi throws down a Grasping Roots, will go a little wild. And Hung throws down a sapling onto those wraps to spot out that they are there, and Kanavi is looking to secure them.
So, let's take a step back and look at the larger game. Of course, in this game as well, in terms of the stakes too, whoever wins this keeps themselves well and truly at the top of the table. JDG, if they were to win this one, they get themselves to 5-2, where LNG to 5-1, play one last series, and they're looking for a dive in the bot side. That's a card assault as well. Sheer, no flash.
Yeah, that combo kind of is rough to manage. This is what happens with Karthus plus these kind of solo lanes. It's very easy to assist them in the dives.
Yeah, so this is the Scout play of the year. Last year it was getting the Nash's Tooth his ear and getting in towards the side lanes to get out of turrets. Scout has revolutionized side lane macro by teleporting to the other solo lane and making sure that they get a kill and the tower as well. They have themselves really good ability to kill turrets with the Camille, and just with the 3 grubs as well. They get themselves that first turret and they get themselves the gold there from all of the plates just before it falls. JDG, they won't be able to get all of the plates and they'll also be late in taking that turret. The plants help, but LNG, they are very, very good at killing turrets. They are the best turret taking team in the LPL, and they've taken in a turret from this too.
How far do they want to go? They were debating stepping on forwards just for a second there. Herald is being secured, and that actually might give them a bit more license to keep going. They've got a lot of seeds. I don't think Sheer can stay. He's got no mega.
Oh, so JD, hang on a second.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is. I thought that they wouldn't get a chance first, but JDG late in the
Yeah,
race.
it's gone.
To get this as well, and JDG don't have the big engage, so they can't force through onto the enemy team. 3 turrets. LNG proving yet again they're the best tower taking team in the whole of the LPL, and they get a huge amount of value for it.
And suddenly Sheer is down 1.6k because all those turrets went away. This Yone's 201 up 1,000 gold himself. This game was looking really good for JDG after the early lane. Bot lane was looking a bit dicey, but the side lane play has again been exceptional.
So LNG get themselves a large amount of gold out of that series of plays. It puts them slightly into the lead. It's 15 minutes and it's a 2,000 gold lead. That is still something. You can see the gold swing happening on that graph. So what is that going to power us through to? Potentially Scout can get himself through to a shield bow as a second item out of that Noon Quiver. It still really annoys me that a Noon Quiver is now an attack damage and a crit item rather than an attack speed one. It just really annoys me. The fact that it builds into like Lord Dominate's Regards and Shield Bow
still weirds me out.
It doesn't feel right. I'm like, oh, he's going towards a Kraken Slayer. Builds out of that, right? It's not. Well, I mean that does too, but it does too. But yeah, Hung now going to get traded on.
Gala also very low. Hung stays alive for now, but both bot laners are chunked very, very low. This means this mid tier 1 is likely dead to rights. Nothing there to be allowed to defend it. There's still an ultimate from Hung. I don't think he wants to pop it right now.
Yeah. So, JDG, realistically, they needed an early lead. They don't have easy engage. They're not winning through the side lanes now, and Zucker is so strong. 1.7k lead over Sheer. I was worried. I think that the bonus of having Sheer over Flandre is that I think that Sheer he's been a much more well-rounded player than he was at the start. He is a very good aggressive player. He might not have the goal to fight through this though. Dragon started big collapse from LNG.
Dragon goes down that soul point, but what about the fight afterwards? Fate's Sealed is used, and it forces a couple flashes. The Fate's Call from Kalista kept missing alive, but the damage is already pretty brutal. Stranglethorn's disengaged while Zucker is down to 10% HP.
Okay, really well played from Missing and Kanavi, using their own HP bars and their own ultimates to get some value out of that disengaged JDG. They will end up taking that dragon. They go into soul point. That's big for them. They needed to get early advantages somehow. If not in gold, then in objectives. That soul point towards Ocean Soul can help them an awful lot. If LNG could have, if they could have got that turret, would have made it much more palatable. But basically what that was a failed opportunity to punish JDG for funneling into that river. They can't quite find themselves the full envelopment.
It was a nice look in, but the flashes were fast enough to keep JDG safe. They will burn 3 of them, obviously, but they get out, they get soul point, they keep the gold within touching distance, and yes, you have got the win condition in the side lane, but one of the joys of Soul has meant that split pushing is a lot harder to execute because you will be forced to 5v5.
Yeah, and Zucker doesn't quite have, you know, the one-shot potential just yet. The hook shot is also just, like, not available to him because he's hand-shook out of the big combo. Zucker's immediately just burst down, and that's a lot of damage with it. Scout also most of the damage on the other side. God damn, the blade proc from Rule-Up very nearly gets him down into the depth as well. Gets him also into the sepia screen. Now LNG back towards the side lanes. That's where they've been succeeding most of the time so far. Gold has become quite even though at this point. It's not that far apart.
No, it's not. That soul point, though, is going to be a huge deal for them because they've got to wait 3 odd minutes and they can do it all over again. And Ocean Soul, this game would be valuable with your double AD carries, with the plants from the Zyra as well to constantly tick her up. It becomes a pretty frustrating way to find those all-ins that you've been looking for, even if you're still going to have that win condition of the split push that will still be very difficult to manage as the game goes on.
I love these individual gold advantages. I'm really happy when we see them, when we saw them come over towards the LPL happen after MSI, so we got these
it makes it a lot easier to track.
And also, if I want to explain to someone watching this how these teams have prioritized their resources and how they've prioritized playing the game. And you look at a Camille and a Yone with like 1,000+ gold leads, you can definitely understand, okay, they're going to play towards sidelines, play towards individual advantages. Whereas you look towards like the other side when you've got like Hanavi and Ruler on the Zyra and that's a wow, okay, wow.
Good Hexic ultimatum to immune the Wallop, but the flash into the wall. Sheer, just another auto would kill him. Surely goes down. That's the solo, sort of, with some assistance from that Karthus. The Locket Shield prevents the turnaround engage.
And Kanavi dies in the other side of the map as well.
Oh, yeah.
So Weiwei ganks effectively the entire map at the same time in the way that only Karthus jungle can. And LNG, look at those gold differences. Where are they playing for? They're playing for the side lanes. They get a kill there. They also get a kill onto JDG's strength. They have the Kalista and the Zyra with their gold advantages. They want to play grouped up fights. That's what both of those champions have really gotten their value from in Pro. So JDG failing at both their weakness and their strengths at the same fell swoop is exactly what they didn't want. How the heck does this happen? You get the ult coming through. Hanavi not actually hit, but it's still Yone. He doesn't need to hit his ultimate. He's a Yone.
No.
Right, so that one's a free kill. And while once again Scout goes low, he doesn't go down.
And the thing is, because Kanavi had to step forwards to avoid the Fate Sealed, he had to step in to the central part of Gala's ultimate. You are caught between a rock and a sword place, and unfortunately, you choose one death or the other, not whether you get to survive, because that was never really an option there with no flash and no Zhonya's.
So, LNG on the brink of taking down JDG for the first time since 2021 summer in the LPL. JDG have, I think, the game score since that point has been 20 games to JDG, about 10 to LNG. So it's about 2-to-1 split in regards to that. Last summer, LNG still took JDG to 5 games in the summer finals. This has been one of the great matchups in LPL recently. And last year, I loved watching LNG versus JDG, particularly with Scout and Tarzan versus Kanavi and Knight. But even with these changes to Weiwei coming in and Yagao coming back towards JDG, I have loved this matchup because it's so very close and it feels just like one of the better showcases of variety in key team comps as well. LNG play the game very differently to JDG. They're the ones which are focusing through their side lanes right now in a way that JDG are trying to avoid and play towards the bigger team fights.
30 seconds until Ocean Soul will be available for JDG. Are they feeling willing to fight it? I'll note a couple second items are completed for LNG in their solo lanes, which are not there currently for JDG. Yes, your Zyra is very strong. Yes, Ruler just picks up Wit's End, but don't know whether they're going to be in a position to really fight for this dragon. The problem is if they don't fight for this one, will they ever get a chance again as the game goes on?
That is a very good question. I'm starting to try and think of the answer. I'm thinking of the answers myself, and I'm not really coming up with many of them, and that's the problem, because you don't have that all-encompassing lead for someone like that Kalista. If the Kalista was godlike strong, you could maybe see it. Teleport coming in from the side lane from Zucker. Karthus ults.
Locket comes on down, but missing Chunk to half HP. On the other side, Shear's caught out by Zucker. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Top laner down. Kanavi stepping on forwards. Flashes the steal. Doesn't succeed. Goes down, and the Strangle Thorns are just the Gardener Rose over the grave.
LNG, they pick that rose out of the ground and they put it onto their lapel because JDG are nothing but decoration around that fight. They only find themselves there spectating. It's Safari League of Legends. They try and flash in for the steal, but realistically, it was always going to be an uphill battle. They lose their jungler, they lose their top laner. Sheer caught out on the side. Sheer 0-4-0 for a player that's become so well-rounded on JDG. All he has been is a boulder rolling down the hill at the expense of JDG. Baron goes over to LNG. Dragon goes over to LNG. Ruler
takes so much damage. A flash on forwards, and the Soul Unbound. That proc, that mini Z mark, when you press it again, is just way too much.
JDG have 1 kill in 22 minutes, and Ruler has an assist and 0 kills. As a Kalista, that is an abject failure of an early game for JDG, and a reminder that LNG are now a top team in the LPL. They have beaten BLG, they have beaten top esports, and they look very likely now to beat out JDG. LNG, from what was a very disappointing group stage, a very disappointing spring, have come alive in this Rumble stage, and, you know, they're getting closer and closer to the point where they could potentially get themselves to that Guardian Angel, also over the wall after using that E. Doesn't even have to hit the ult. This is Yone, folks. You don't always have to hit your ultimate. Scout uses it to get into the right position, and Scout, it's been a big resurgence from him. Most MVPs ever achieved in a split in both spring and then summer, breaking his own record last year. Starting to get himself, again, really, truly online for this team.
Yeah, and now Ruler is going to be wondering how on earth does he stay alive. The Wit's End seconds, all well and good, but into the, what, the Karthus damage, important, the Ziggs damage is important, but the people who are going to be selling you out, it's going to be that Yone, it's going to be that Camille, and that's no value there at all.
And now JDG, who do they look for? Who do they look towards to carry this game? I think in previous games, when you had the Corki or the Tristana for Yagao, they would have carried a game. I don't think he can on this Lucian. This Lucian has not impressed me. I don't like what he's playing on this champion. Ruler on the Kalista doesn't have that early lead too, which makes it so much harder to play out this matchup too. So JDG, what have they got? Is Kanavi or Buster Scouts forcing the issue?
Gets a lot of damage down. Will be CC briefly and pops back. Yagao can look for, but a Q afterwards is actually still too deep from Scout, because Yagao has a bit of time there with the bailout to get some work done, and Zerka all the while does claim this tier 2. So a lot of resources blown to kill off Scout. That does work, as he was just that touch too far, but they'll still lose the remaining outer turrets.
More gold over towards Gala, and now suddenly no red numbers at the bottom of the screen. JDG has no individual advantages anymore. The Baron buff has been destructive for LNG, and JDG have not been able to answer it. Yes, they do get that shutdown onto Scout, but that is good. It is good gold over to Yaga, and we said that, you know, I don't trust him to carry this game on the Lucian. It's not been my favorite pick from him. I think he's had a good summer. I do like how Yagao's been playing, but I don't like how he's playing on the Lucian. There is a discrepancy between the two of them. Much like I was saying earlier, it's like, oh, you know, I don't like Knights on the AD carries, or I don't like Aki on AP jungle, blah, blah, blah. Some players need certain picks, and this Lucian is not it for Yagao right now. LNG, last 30 seconds, the Baron buff, trying to crack down the last remaining inhibitor turret. Well, no, the one in middle. There's another top one.
How much longer?
Like, oh yeah, well, it might just be the last remaining one. Haha, soon.
Well, I'm looking at that Camille. I don't think the Camille is going to be...
Oh yes, now they will look to take down the last remaining inhibitor turret in top lane.
Accurate and decisive statements from Mike.
Thank you. I pride myself on being always correct. Very on point. I never make mistakes, ever. It's not something I do.
Don't make me laugh while I'm taking a drink. That's a bad mistake.
I like to cause issues on and off of the Rift, folks. So, JDG,
your PC next to where mine would be splurting.
That is true. I would like to keep my PC alive. That's typically a good thing.
Don't make me drink from a sippy cup. I don't want to spend scare in this.
Yeah, true. The Sven Scare and sippy cup meta back in LCS like 2015, 2016. So that was a time and a half. LNG, they now have 1,000 gold lead on Gala because he has himself a huge amount of gold coming through from the towers taken. He did lose a fair amount of farm early to the Kalista, but again, it doesn't matter that much. Ruler didn't use that early game. JDG didn't use that early game to achieve anything more than that. They got themselves the dragons, haven't been able to capitalize on that either. They haven't been able to get themselves towards that salt. I think even if they get themselves this dragon next, I feel like they just lose the fight. Infinity Edge, Crypt Bloom up for Gala. If you could eat the combo onto the wrong part of the fight, JDG's hopes of this game are completely dashed.
Yep, that was exactly my worry. I saw that Infinity Edge come on through, and it's going to be a little problematic, I think. He's not gone towards a tanky option. We see and have seen a number of those Jack Show builds, but Scout is saying, I want to be a serious threat in the backline, and I completely understand.
JDG are zoned out of the river right now. Gala's poke is starting to land. Zucker's on the flank. Yaga, you can't walk there. It's so hard to escape the combo. Yaga's just dashed in as well. Zucker doesn't want to go straight into the 5-man people, though. LNG waiting for more poke and going in with a cut salt.
Scout gets a huge chunk onto Sheer, and afterwards comes down the Requiem. Mega Inferno Bomb only really onto Sheer, who doesn't have a teleport to board. Don't! Kanavi's dead. Taken out. Hextech all the way to make sure Sheer dies as well. Flash away from the hostile takeover. And now the fight is pretty much done. Yagao, Ruler, and Missing must somehow, in a 3v5, find a way to stop everything. But a fate sealed and a bailout just is not enough to keep Ruler alive. Missing chunked out. A loyalty program is looking like it's for the bargain bucket at Costco, because you're not finding a victory in the LPL. That's for sure. LNG, for the first time in so many years, in so many games, will bring down JDG. Gala will get a win against Ruler. Records are broken once more.
It has been 3 years since LNG have taken down JDG. LNG beat Top Esports. LNG beat BLG. And here, now in this third game, LNG will beat Jingdong Gaming to complete the sweep of our top 3 teams from LPL Spring.
Jingdong, the witch is dead.
Nexus falls. LNG will complete the victory lap. It has been so long since this matchup has been covered in blue rather than red, and JDG, they find themselves at 3 series losses. LNG, this has been an explosion into form.
That was great fun. I am very glad to see both of those teams play the way they were, and honestly, JDG were looking good for the first 5-10 minutes there. We're seeing the bot lane plays come on through, Kanavi gets that double root, it's all looking solid, and then they don't do anything for a bit.
By the way, I cannot believe Jing Dong the Witch is dead.
I'm very pleased with that one.
That was a great Nexus call. I appreciate that, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in today, as so many of you have done over the recent weeks and months as well. It has been an absolute pleasure bringing you these games. We have 1 week left of this kind of broadcast where the LPL English official broadcast is not covering games, and it has been a real pleasure to cover this with you, Sam. Sam,
it's been so much fun.
Sam, I believe you're not here next week, so
no, I'm not.
For this year, Sam
Sam
has covered about 140, 150 games with me here on this channel. It has been an absolute pleasure. I think you have been an incredible caster. For everyone who's been enjoying our work in chat, it has been an absolute pleasure for me to cast with my own brother, Sam, Initialise Hapgood. Go follow him on the various socials and stuff like that. I can't have done this without him. Having someone ready to wake up at the break of dawn with me to cast these games has made this job so much easier. And the fact that you are here watching us makes this so much easier as well. We really hope that you've enjoyed this. I'll be back asking around for some other casters to cover these games in next week as well, before we go into the playoffs and the last chance qualifiers as well, coming through from this stage of the LPL. But if you have enjoyed this, please drop a like, drop a subscribe, give us a shout out wherever you can, and give us your primes if you can.
Please do.
My voice has been struggling, folks. The Faceless Frick, thank you so much for your prime in regards to that too. Are you going to do your own stream?
I am, yeah. At least I'm going to release game in.
Okay, so I will raid Sam after this stream through as well. But for everyone who stuck around and supported us, it has been an absolute pleasure. We have another week left of this, but thank you so much for tuning in. We'll wait until